Hello and welcome to episode 29 of the Long Shot Podcast, brought to you by 342 Productions. I'm your host, as always, Duncan Robinson, and I'm here with my good friend. Now we are back virtually, but nonetheless here with my good friend, Davis Reid.
What is going on? We are back. Dunk, how you feeling?
I'm feeling better than you, so I'm just going to get out in front of this. This is Davis's flu game. So obviously, Mike had his flu game. Other flu games have been documented. This is Davis's flu game or flu episode. Either one kind of goes, but I'll let you kind of tell it. But you've had a whirlwind of a month, and you kind of woke up feeling under the weather. So why don't you, shine some light on that for the people?
First of all, I'll say flu game is fair. One episode a week. It's kind of like we're in the NFL. We get 1 week to prepare. And so there was no way we were going to miss this one. I'm battling a little bit. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. It's tough to complain because this month has been pretty fun, but it has been my own bachelor party, then my wedding, then a honeymoon, then a friend's bachelor party. Mixed right in between those honeymoon and second bachelor party was the Vegas trip that, we is well documented.
Which was a business trip, mind you.
Correct.
Not a trip for pleasure. That was a business trip.
It's just been a lot of travel, bouncing all around. But hey, it's been a blast. I wouldn't have it any other way. And I'm happy to report it's not COVID that I'm dealing with. I got a COVID test this morning, came back negative. So we're fine. I'm just battling a little bit. I think it's, all that catching up to me, but I'm going to be just fine. Don't you worry.
That's an important distinction, that it's not COVID. That was one of the first things that I ask. And, being the mature and also fully vaccinated adult that you are, you wanted to go and just really make sure. You mentioned it's a lot of traveling. You know what? Somebody's got to do it, Dave. And nobody's better fit for it than you. And I'd also like to say that the traveling has been well worth it, because the Long Shot Pod is now officially on the map, some might say. We have begun to grace our presence on the national media scale. We've been shouted out by some different media outlets. I don't know, Sports Center, ever heard of it? I don't know. And some other ones. But all of it was because of the sacrifice that you made on a last-minute trip to Vegas. So thank you for your sacrifice.
It's a sacrifice we made. We're in this thing together. In fact, because it's a flu game, I'm leaning on you a little bit this week. I'm trying to rest this voice of mine. But no, you know what? We are on the rise a little bit. It's been a good week for the Long Shot Pod. Just past 50,000 on YouTube, which is a pretty exciting milestone for us. And we're starting to dabble with some other forms of content, which has been pretty fun. The parking lot video, if you will, is what SportsCenter picked up today, actually. So good things for the Long Shot Pod. Very thankful for we still don't have a name for our community.
The Long Shotters.
The Long Shotters
has been thrown out. Now, I'd also, this is a shout out to the Long Shotters. Those are part of the community. So obviously you've seen an uptick in our content, and that's largely because Davis and I have been able to be in person. I think that the interviews have been different in person, better in person. There's more kind of, gift of gab, if you will. There's a little bit more banter. It just has a totally different feel to it. So this is where I'm calling on the Long Shotters to put pressure on Davis. Please get in his direct messages on Instagram and encourage him and his lovely wife to move to Miami. I think it's the only solution. If you want the podcast to really take another step, it's just the only logical solution. So please do me a favor, if you're out there listening, apply some pressure.
I would ask you guys to also consider putting some pressure on Duncan, that he can just start flying me around the country to meet up, to do stuff in person.
100%. It's in. I mean, that's an easy expense right there. It's a business expense.
Right.
This thing's we're at the point where this thing's almost a well-oiled machine. But no, it honestly has been a ton of fun to be in person and do some different things. We had been kicking around some different content ideas for a while. So we got some pretty good stuff, in the back pocket here. It's just a matter of how and when we're going to be able to kind of break it out. But I got to give you and I got to give Jason a ton of credit for the most recent video from an execution, but also just an idea standpoint. I thought you guys killed it and really brought it with that one.
Massive shout out to Jason. He was the brains behind all that. You and I went out and executed, but he was the one who was drawing up the play. So shout out to him. Yeah, I think the other thing here is you're in the off season, so you have a little bit more time to do some of this stuff. You guys ramp up here in what, a month month and a half.
Month, about 6 weeks. It's certainly on the horizon. And I also, I want to get out in front of this. Obviously, we're doing some different stuff with the pod, and it's been fun. I don't want any sort of commentary around, Duncan's distracted or doing this or that. I'm very much locked in, and I very much intend on continuing to be very much locked in. So please let's just stay away from that, because it's not really holding any weight.
It's almost not even worth acknowledging. Dunk, I'm just going to let you know. You aren't on our social media, really. You're not reading through but that stuff is going to be prevalent regardless. So I think you're just going to have to block those comments out.
Just power through. No, it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, the Vegas trip was fun. Basically, so we knocked out a couple interviews, and then we were just kind of sitting around. We were kind of about to go to dinner, and Jason and Davis had thrown out this idea of, it's kind of a ripoff of what, like a Jimmy Kimmel kind of thing. Yes. I know they had done different late night TV shows, had done similar stuff with people before. And mind you, we don't have the same resources as some of those shows do. So it was kind of pieced together. But I have to say, the execution was pretty solid. And there were some hidden gems in terms of like outtakes and kind of bloopers, like some behind the scenes stuff that maybe we could, start to tease out as well.
No, it was a blast. Credit to you, honestly, because if you guys watch the video, my one job is to try to get people to shit on you. And so I would just like to apologize that a lot of our content that really plays well is the stuff that we just shit on you. So you were game for it. You're squatted behind a pickup truck, just listening to fans talk shit about you. And so, you were a sport.
Well, I think I was more than game for it. I think I was actually pushing the envelope of it. I think early 100%. On, so like the first 3 or 4 interviews, you're just kind of like floating it out there. So what do you think of, Duncan Robinson's new contract? And people are like, giving just kind of like run-of-the-mill answers like, I think it's a pretty good deal. It's about market value, whatever. And eventually I go to you, Davis, just like tee it up for him.
Just walk them into it.
Yeah, just walk them right into it. So like it basically makes them feel like the only way that they can answer this is that it's an extreme overpay and Duncan sucks. And because I knew that that's what was going to play the best. And by the end of it, you're just throwing out all sorts of locker room cancer, traffic cone, like all sorts of stuff.
I've been hearing things.
And I'm happy that you did, because I was right. It played well.
Some say he's a defensive liability. I mean, some people have called him a traffic cone. What about the rumors that he's a locker room cancer? What do you think about that?
Fucking Davis.
No, it was fun. It was a ton of fun. But again, I mean, no one's shitting on me, so it's easy for me to do it. I'm just throwing stuff at the wall at these people, seeing what sticks. Locker room cancer. I've heard that a lot being around you more this year.
In circles, right? In NBA circles.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite thing, Gun, is like when people, like reporters, give like super vague feedback. Like I'm hearing in circles or so-and-so in NBA talks. It's like you could literally say that about anything and then just throw it out there, because there's zero accountability to it, and you can just say whatever you want.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're not a dog guy. You don't like tacos. You can't add. You have reading level of a 4th grader. It's just all this stuff. I'm just hearing it in NBA circles.
Exactly. I mean, that's basically, yeah. Anyways, we're kind of now like lost in the weeds here. Let's transition. Do we have anything else we want to talk about before you get to the Reddit question of the week?
I don't know, man. My brain's operating at a 10% capacity. Let's just go to the Reddit question.
True. Don't give in to the symptoms, Dave. Flu game, Dave.
It's
Flu
my
episode,
flu game.
Dave.
Yeah. We'll just call a timeout. I'll get some Gatorade towel over my head. I'll be good to go.
Jason, this is your cue in the YouTube video to superimpose Davis's face over Jordan's limp body, leaning on to his teammates. This is your
You're my
cue
Scotty.
to do that. I'm your Scotty.
You're carrying me.
By the way, that actually brings me to another point that I've noticed that you've been getting a ton of love lately. So I can actually say that I am your Scotty. Like you're really pushing the envelope on this. And when I first decided to do a podcast, it kind of became a no-brainer that you were the person I wanted to do it with. And
I don't want to do this.
I have to say it's been incredibly gratifying to see the long shot community and the basketball community start to understand your greatness, because I've known it for a while. I've known it for a while, and it's just beautiful to see it, come to fruition on the big stage. That's all I got for you. I'm not going to pump your tires too much. Let's get to the Reddit question of the week. What do we got?
I appreciate you. Reddit question of the week comes from KG is top 15 all time. That's the username. Maybe a hot take. Definitely a hot take, but good for you. You're entitled to your opinion. They ask, who do you think is the smartest player in the NBA?
It's a good question. There's a lot of different directions you can take it. I think LeBron is automatically up there. Just for the sake of this, I'm going to throw LeBron out, because LeBron is the answer to a lot of questions as it regards to who is the smartest, best, whatever. I'm going to take LeBron out.
Yeah, kick him out.
I'm going to kind of give you a dark horse answer, and I narrowed it down to 3 in my mind. I have Chris Paul, I have Rajon Rondo, and I have Kyle Lowry. Am I doing a little bit of home cooking by throwing Kyle in there? Maybe.
I don't know if those aren't dark horse options either. Like, I think those would be the other guys that would come to mind for a lot of basketball fans.
I mean, just out of the sheer fact that LeBron's not in the mix makes it.
Fair.
I mean, I think like LeBron would be the easy choice. Rondo would honestly probably be too. Rondo is incredible. I will say, when we played Rondo in the finals 2 years ago, he knew everything that we were doing, and it basically became. I mean, he was coming off the bench. He was playing roughly 20, maybe a little, 20, 25 minutes a game. So it's not like he was in there the whole game. But we had to strategically scheme for Rondo's minutes, and it became, how do we win Rondo's minutes? Because he was such. He would just move the needle, and he would tip the game, and he would understand the importance of little stretches throughout an NBA game, particularly in the playoffs where you have to win those little skirmishes. And he would always just find a way. He would jump a passing lane. He would get a steal. He would take advantage of a 2-for-1 situation. He would exploit a matchup. He would just do little things here and there to manipulate those little sections of a game. Now, Chris and Kyle both do that. What they do a little bit differently than Rondo is they're also able to manipulate the whistle, and both of them are really good at it. Chris and Kyle actually do it kind of in similar ways. Where Chris and Kyle are also different is that Kyle is what we call like unbelievable at next play speed. You'll see it throughout the course of his career. As soon as there's a dead ball, he's running to the ref, trying to get the ball, trying to pitch it up. And he's trying to take advantage of those kind of like relief baskets that happen throughout the course of a game. Obviously, in a regular season game, they happen more frequently because there's a little bit less sense of urgency. In a playoff game, if you can get 6, 8, 10 relief points throughout a game, it is huge. It makes such a difference in the game because points are so hard to come by. So Kyle is really good at that. Chris is just incredible at understanding when it's a bonus situation and manipulating a whistle in the variety of ways that he does it. Sweep throughs, rip throughs, stopping behind screens, having his defender run into it. He's so creative in those settings. And as a result, oftentimes in games, once again, particularly in playoff games, if you get to the free throw line, you control the pace of the game. You're getting free points. You're stopping the game, and you're putting other players, other teams in foul trouble, and you're getting to the bonus faster. So that's my reasoning. It's a pretty thorough answer, honestly.
Great answer.
Not to pat myself on the back, but I thought it was a pretty good answer to a great question. So credit goes to KG's top 15 all time.
KG, dude. KG.
KG is top 15 all time. In fairness, the way you wrote that out, it's confusing.
All right, sorry.
I thought that could have been KGIS.
I'll take the blame. Put that on me.
That's my answer. It's a combination of those 3, which might be a cop-out answer, but nonetheless, I think it's a good one.
That was an incredible answer. All veteran guys, which makes sense. They've seen a lot in the league. They've been on different teams. They've been in a lot of different locker rooms. Are there young guys that come to mind that are maybe, play above their age and IQ, if you will?
I think Luka's an easy choice with that. I mean, his pace, when you talk about IQ and understanding leverage and creating leverage and understanding how to beat a defender that might be athletically superior. I mean, his pace and strength and his ability to kind of like move in tight spaces at his size is incredible. And he's also really good at getting to the free throw line. There's other examples. I am interested to see, like somebody like Trae Young does a really good job of kind of manipulating a whistle, but I am really interested to see how these new rules impact somebody like that. Obviously, he's still going to be a really, really hard player to guard, but what made Trae so hard to guard is that, and not that I was ever tasked with guarding Trae Young, I want to get out in front of that, but what made him so hard to guard is that a lot of times, and I would talk to guys who would guard him, is that you just feel like you can't touch him. Because the moment you try to get physical or to try to crawl into a ball screen, it's a sweep through foul. It's a stop behind bump, and he's bumping back into you, and he's drawing a foul that way. So I'm interested to see how like the non-basketball moves, now they're letting those go, how those kind of impact certain players' games.
Are those conversations that you guys have started? I know you haven't reported for camp or anything yet, but how those rule changes are going to impact games?
I mean, like just with like some of the coaches, we haven't had like a Zoom meeting about it yet, Davis. I think guys are mostly just trying to get some space and get some work in. But I mean, it'll definitely be talked about. Prior to the season, we always have a rules meeting with usually Monty McCutcheon, who's a former NBA referee, great guy, horrendous suits, but certainly brings it from an effort standpoint. I mean, I appreciate his effort and willingness to attempt to dress really sharp. But
hold on. Are we throwing some McCutcheon slander on this podcast?
No,
I don't love that.
I love Monty. Monty's the best. He truly is a fantastic liaison between referees and players, and has obviously been a part of the league for so long, way longer than I have. He has way more respect and just clout, I guess you could say, than I do. That's for damn sure. So Monty, that was not a shot at your attire, and if anything, it's that I'm envious the fact that you can pull it off.
Good save.
Yeah, so anyways, he always comes in and it's like a full-blown presentation. It's like a 30, 45-minute thing where they like show film. It's like a film study. Like, this might have been a foul last year, show a clip. This will not be a foul this year. This wasn't a foul last year. This will now be a foul this year. Like, they do a full breakdown, so there's very clear communication between referees and players on what is to be expected of the rules and how they will be enforced, which I think honestly helps. It provides clarity, because if there are rule changes as a player, you want to know, because you don't want to get bent out of shape about something and start yelling over something that is a legitimate change to a rule.
Yeah, that makes sense. What jersey is behind you? I see a sign. Is that a Pat Connaughton jersey?
It is a signed Pat Connaughton jersey. Pat, who is a future guest on the podcast, fantastic human being, and now also an NBA champion. After our series, gave me a nice jersey here. For maybe you who are not watching on YouTube, he gave me a playoff jersey, wrote a nice little note. I'm going to keep that to myself because it's a little bit personal. But nonetheless, Pat and I will maybe get into this in a future episode, but Pat and I go back quite a ways, played for the same AAU program, the Middlesex Magic powerhouse out of Boston. But Pat is an NBA champion, and if I wasn't going to win it, which obviously after we lost to them, I was out of contention, I was happy at least that a good friend of mine was able to hoist a trophy.
Fair enough. All right, I think we've belabored our Reddit question long enough. You want to move to a long shot feature?
I don't think it's belabored. I think we just covered all the bases. I think we were thorough, if anything. Long shot feature is my guy Craig Reynolds, Division II college football player, undrafted in 2019. He bounced around to a few teams, I believe Washington, Atlanta, Jacksonville, but never quite saw any significant playing time. And last week, he got a tryout for the Lions. He signed a contract the day before their first preseason game, and he scored a touchdown the next day. He was literally introducing himself to coaches and teammates on the sidelines. That's a pretty cool story.
Unreal. I looked up his touchdown highlight when somebody sent this into us. So I looked up his touchdown. It's a pretty nice run. It's like a 24-yarder, dives at the pylon, extends across for the touchdown. Guy just got an opportunity, made the most of it.
Those are the best. Those like pylon collisions. Well, I guess from a fan perspective, I imagine as
Yeah,
a
right.
player, as a player, it's probably significantly nicer to just waltz into the end zone untouched. But anyways, shout out to Craig. That's awesome. Keep pushing, man. The impossible is always possible. I just came up with that, but I might coin that the new long shot phrase.
I don't know.
Anyways,
did you come up with that?
I don't think so. I think that impossible is nothing. I think that's somebody's tagline. I don't know, maybe Adidas. We have a great convo with Karan. Karan is an incredible human being, has an unbelievable story. We touch on it a little bit, but if you haven't actually in depth looked into his story, please do. He has a great book out called Tough Juice, in which he is the author of, and there's also a short documentary on his upbringing. I don't know if it's an E60 or what it is, but it's just a coverage and tells his upbringing in Wisconsin and all the adversity that he had to go through to become a NBA champion, a multiple-time All-Star, and above that, an incredibly impactful mentor and man.
Yeah, it's an amazing conversation. It takes a little different tone than some of our other ones, a little more serious tone. It's an opportunity, honestly, for you and I, who come from such different backgrounds than him, to just sit and listen about some of the adversity that he went through, like you said. So yeah, one of my favorite ones. We also recorded this one at Summer League, so it was in person, which, like you said, is always better. But yeah, I think you guys are going to love this one.
Yeah, you said it. Definitely has a different tone to it, but a necessary conversation for sure. And strongly encourage you all to take to heart what he says, because I think he's made a profound difference on my life, not only as a basketball player, but also from just the person to person standpoint. So I really hope you guys enjoy this one. Here's Karan.